Okay. I could barely get through half an Amud.
Well, you gotta remember that in one case we cut the woman in half. I just think in terms of Shlomo. Either we cut the woman in half or we don't.
I was almost going to go last night over to Avrami and knock on the door and say, okay, let's at 9:30 at night, let's start looking at this morning's Gemara.
He would have been delighted.
But no, he wouldn't. They were too noisy on his floor there.
Because he has Fenbly. Where's Bobby?
Oh, Bob Romberg? I thought it was me. No.
He wasn't here this morning?
No.
He wasn't at 7:30.
Okay, I'm going to start with the learning sponsors, and then we'll get into the Gemara. Okay. Did you listen to Rabbi Sugarman this morning?
No.
No, I'm asking you.
I tried to. I couldn't. I didn't know where he started. We made it 7 o'clock. It was very hard.
Yeah.
He rushes. If you phone in 30 seconds late,
You've missed.
He's 3 blot away.
Okay. He's perfect. And I had a hard time catching up with him, so I have to go over it again.
So you want to sit in with us?
He's got to go daven.
I got to.
He listens to Rabbi Sugarman
Oh,
first,
and
then he
davens.
comes here and davens at the
Why don't you
8:30
come
minute.
to the 7 o'clock meeting?
Boy, she better get out of here because she got, guys are investigators.
Oh, wow.
All right, we'll talk later. Okay, learning sponsors, a year of learning, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Saratova Bad Yisrael Dov in her memory. Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachomata Bat Asher. Friends of Nina Moynester, Nechama Asna Bad Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Lezecha Nishmat, Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. The Month of Learning by Rebecca Witonsky, Louis and Susan Witonsky, in memory of Rebecca's uncle and Louis's brother, Pesach Ben Yusuf Yehudis. Carol and Josh Sanborn in memory of her mother, Ita Bat Nachman Ben Yaman. Mel and Haran Haller in memory of his brother, Yaakov Ben Avraham. A Week of Learning by Evelyn and Isaac Blachor in memory of her father, Harav Yeshayahu Yitzchak Ben Harav Yisrael Yechiel Halevi. Judy Iger in memory of her father, Eliyahu Ben Yosef Mordechai. Today being the 26th, we have a day of learning by Eunice Pivovich in memory of her mother, Leah Bat Yosef Aharon, by Natalie Goldstein in memory of her father, Ruvain Ben Raphael. That's what I say. And Sharon Sidner in memory of her mother, Yehudit Bat Aryeh Leib. Shamas have an Aliyah, Crank Rafia, Veldi Yeshua Shema Taliyah, and L'chol B'nai Yisrael, a good Gebench Jar.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Okay. We are going back to 110B, and it's probably in Art Scroll B4.
Well, how far back?
Very bottom,
Then it's B5.
B5, okay. If you're using Art Scroll. If you're not using Art Scroll, it's still 110B. Okay, towards the
You're going
very
Shema
bottom.
now?
What?
We're starting at Shema now?
Let me get my bookmark.
Amara Pista Shema now?
Yeah.
So then,
It's 3 lines from the bottom. Okay? No. From in that book, it's going to be on the right-hand side of the page. Okay, Rav Chisda is giving an explanation, okay, as to what was the position of Rav in regards to a particular statement that he said vis-a-vis a situation where there is marriage to two women, one is a deaf mute and one is a minor. Okay? And he's raising the question here, whether these are, if they're rabbinic marriages, rabbinic standard marriages, okay, are they really actually
Same standard.
to that standard? Are they not only are they the same standard, but the question being, is it possible to say that one is sort of officially married and one is only partly married? Okay, I could not see whether through Art Scroll or Koran how they could define that somebody was partially married, unless we're saying that that's the phrase that they're using to say that it's a rabbinic standard.
Yeah, but it's a
Marriage.
different. With regard to the katana, it's a rabbinic standard because either she is married, in other words, did the rabbis allow her to be married, or they didn't? With regard to the cheresh, since she isn't able to participate, she can't hear what's going on, she can't
Respond.
that she's sort of married, but she's sort of not married. That's it. So that's where they struggle with defining it. So they call it poly.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just
So
saying
the child is either or, and the chereshes
is partially
half
married.
and half.
But if
Okay.
she's married through Bia, it's a full marriage.
No,
Yeah.
who?
The
Yeah, but she
chereshes.
has to be
But that's
The
going to be
problem
the
is that a
question. That's
woman-
going to be an issue.
that even
Okay.
marriage through Bia, the woman has to acquiesce. But here we have no way of determining if she acquiesced or not. She's incapable of communicating. So we say she's sort of married and she's sort of not married. Where, what?
If she can read your lips.
What about writing?
She's, in our world, they can teach her. In their world, if
They
she
did
couldn't
not.
hear or couldn't speak, they had no way to teach her.
Right.
So they have,
I'm talking in their world, right?
so
Right.
therefore she's considered a non-competent person.
Okay.
So she can't acquiesce.
Right. But the point, that's what I'm saying, I could only understand when it said partially married is that maybe it was a rabbinic standard
It is a
It
rabbinic
has to be
Right.
standard,
rabbinic.
Either way.
but it's a different rabbinic standard than
than
the
what
little
we've
girl.
seen so far.
Because the
With we
little
saw
girl
with God with the
acquiesced.
girl. Okay. I'll accept that.
And the rationale.
I'm not happy with that. No,
but
I'm
the
saying,
rationale behind the
no,
Rabbanan
I understand what you're
is
saying.
that she's better off being married. So we give her an acquiescence, but it can't do it on a Torah level because we don't
Right,
know.
right. Okay, I'll accept that. I'm not happy with it.
Yeah, well, nobody's happy with it.
Nobody's
I don't wanna
happy.
marry a little
And
girl.
the Art Scroll, I have to tell you, Art Scroll's explanation made it more
Yes, the
Confusing.
footnotes make it more complicated.
More
than
complicated
the
than it
Gemara.
than the Gemara. Okay? And
Unnecessary word.
right? Okay. So I'm starting off again by saying Rav Chisda is trying to give his explanation as to why Rav
What Rob meant.
meant when he said, in regards to that situation, to allow them to leave the marriage, what has to be done. Okay? All right. So that's
In order to sever the Zika.
Right,
what has to be
right.
done.
right. Okay. So having presented our situation, we'll now go into the Gemara. And I want us to understand that first the Gemara looks at it one way, then it flips it and tries to interpret it. What happens if it was the opposite method, opposite the structure? things like that. And eventually comes to the conclusion that Rav Chisda is correctly explaining Rav,
First,
okay, the first time. And eventually that's the situation. That's why I said later on, once we get through that, the Gemara comes a little bit more straightforward, okay, and a little bit what I felt easier to, okay, but when you're preparing Gemara at 11 o'clock at night, it gets a little, all right.
it's not supposed to nap on Shabbos.
At night.
How else can I stay
When
up
you're
till
doing
11
the
o'clock?
doc, you're not supposed to nap.
I can't stay up that late if I
All
don't
right,
nap on
right.
Shabbos. All right,
Get up at 5.
I give up.
I don't get up at 5 even a weekday, okay?
I'll make a missionary.
Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda Amar Rav. Okay, what did he say? Okay, in other words, what was Rav's basic statement to break the Zika? And for these, either one, the Chereshet, the deaf, mute, adult woman, or the minor, okay, to leave this relationship, okay, what has to be done? Kones hachareshet umotzia baget. And regarding the deaf mute woman, Rav said, according to Rav Chisda, okay, that he marries her and then gives her a get, uktana. And in regards to the second co-wife, if we want to use that term,
Child.
right, who's a minor, tamtin ad shetagdil, you wait till she's an adult, 12 plus, vetachlots, and then do chalitza with her. Okay? Now, Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, Shma mina kasavar Rav. Okay, this seems to say, says Rav Chisda, that Rav must be of the opinion, chareshet knuya umeshuyeret, that the deaf mute woman is what we'll call for the moment partially married to him. Okay, Michael's point is we don't have any clear indication, okay,
Of
that
her agreement.
of her, right? Ktana knuya ve'ena knuya, and the minor is either married or not married. The isal keda'atach, because if you're going to think chareshet knuya ve'ena knuya, that it's the opposite, that it's the deaf mute woman who's partially married,
No,
who's
or.
either married or not married, ktana knuya umeshuyeret, and it's the minor who is either partially married, chareshet amai kones umotzia baget. Then in regards to the deaf woman, why is it necessary that Rav had to say for her to leave the Zika, the bond, that he marries her and has to give her a get? Okay? Says the Gemara as we now go to today's daf, Kaf Yud Aleph, 111a. Tetev Gabe, let her remain with him, stay with him, right? Mimanafshach, in either case. Iknu Yahi, if she's acquired, in other words, if she's correctly married to him, Haknu Yahi, then she's married to him.
No, then if she was married to hubby, then she's married to the other.
Okay.
Are we talking about
Then
the
she's
minor?
married. No, we're talking about the woman who's the adult deaf mute woman.
If she
Right.
was fully
If
married to
Kanu
hubby,
Yahi, she's married to him, the first one. Haknu
Yahi,
Yahi,
then
she's married to
fully
him.
married to the other.
Okay. All right. Ve'i lav knuya, and if she's not married, to him,
To the
Ha-
dead man.
right? Ha nach, well, to the
To the
first
deceased
husband. right? Ha nachrit ba'almahi. Then in that case, she's just
A woman,
some other woman,
and he
okay,
can
in
marry
general,
her.
and he could marry her regardless.
That's
Okay. V'chi tema, and if you want to say katana, we're talking about the katana, the minor. Amai tamtin ad shetagdil v'tachlots. Why then do you say that you have to tell her to grow, to mature and then do chalitza? Right? Tetav gabe. Again, let her stay with him. Iknu yahi, if she was married to the deceased first husband, haknu yahi, then she's married to the Yabam. Ve'i lav knu yahi, and if she's not married to the first husband, nochrita ba'al mahi, then she's just another young minor, so to speak,
Who can go get
and
married.
she's eligible for marriage. Okay? So what happens? The Gemara continues. Im kain, if that's the case, chareshet b'meh tipok. Then in regards to the deaf mute adult woman, how is she going to leave this relationship?
Even with the little girl first.
Right? Well, we'll get to that in a second. Hold on. Okay? All right. So the point is, we're not sure which is the real Zikuka or Yabama and which is. Okay? And so the question is, who do you do what with in order to break the Zika? And in what order? Okay? Because it's going to make a difference, okay, in when we do this, in what order it's done, whether it satisfies for both women. Okay? Now, right? In this case. And the Gemara is going to continue to go back and forth on this issue again with other examples. Okay? So that's why we need to keep in mind the issue of sequence. All right? Okay. So let's continue now.
We
All
also
right?
have to keep in mind that we cannot do chalitza with the Haresh.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Governing problem.
Okay, I'm looking at my notes. Okay, my notes based on Corin, right? If the deaf marriage is not a full marriage, then there is no reason that she's forbidden, right? All right, so here now we're going to get to the following situation. Amar Rav Sheshet. Okay. Since the deaf mute woman, adult woman, is unable to do chalitza, right? She's disqualified also as a rival wife of the Yavama. So we're going to see the following. Okay, Amar Rav Sheshet, he says as follows. Hachi nama mistabra. This seems logical. The kamitaretz Rav Chista aliba de Rab. In the manner in which Rav Chista gave an explanation to the perspective of Rav, right? The Tanya, as taught the following. Shnei achin nisuin, shtei achayot yitumot. There are two brothers married to two orphan sisters. Okay? Katana v'chareshet. One is a minor, one is a deaf mute adult. Okay? Mate ba'ala shel katana. The husband of the minor dies. Chareshet yotzeit baget. Then the adult deaf mute woman, okay, goes out, okay, through the means of a bill of divorce, okay, due to the zika of the sister. Okay. Uktana tamtin ad shetagdil v'tachlotz. And the minor must wait till she's adult, 12 plus 1, right? V'tachlotz, and do chalitza. However, it's continuing. So this is the rationale behind Rav Chista's explanation. Mate ba'ala shel chareshet. If the husband of the adult deaf mute woman dies, Ketana yotza'a beget, the minor can go out through means of a bill of divorce. V'chareshet asura le'olam.
She may never
And
do it.
the deaf mute adult woman is forbidden forever. Why? Because she can't do yibum because she's a chareshet, number one.
No, she can't do yibum because
Whoa,
she's
because
the
she's
sister
the,
of a
I'm going to
wife.
get to that. And
she
there's
can't
no
do
yibum as the
chalitza.
ex-wife's sister, as well as the fact that there's no yibum because she's a chareshet.
No, she could
It's
do
both.
yibum. You can do yibum with a
could
chareshes,
do
and she's a
yibum
half
with
and half.
chareshes.
You cannot
No.
do chalitza because you don't know that she knows
No.
what she's doing. Here, you can't
You
do.
can't do yibum
look at
because
the
she's the
previous case.
ex-wife's sister.
That's correct.
That's it.
In this
That's
case,
part of it.
That's all of it. She's the ex-wife's sister, and you can't do chalitza, so she's in suspended animation for the rest of her life.
And she, as a chareshet, she can't do yibum.
Correct.
That's the
No,
point.
a chareshes normally
Could,
can do
could.
yibum.
This is.
If
the key.
I'm
Reuven-
telling you what Vishinantem says as
You're
well. It gives
misunderstanding
both
it.
of them.
In this case, she can't do yibum because she's the sister.
That's
of the
one
wife.
reason.
But in a normal
It gives
case, she
two
can.
reasons,
In a normal
Michael.
case, she can only do yibum. She cannot do
I'm telling you what
chalitza.
it said. Okay? In either case, she is forbidden forever. V'im ba'ala chareshet.
Doesn't matter, even if
Then
if-
she
it
can
doesn't
marry
matter,
now
her
because she's
condition.
out.
no, because
No.
once you're
She once she was
erva, you're
asur,
always an
she's
erva.
always asur.
We learned that.
Died,
Yeah, we learned that earlier.
Yeah.
Once you're in erva, you're always in erva.
Right. Okay. Now let's go on. V'im ba'al chareshet, and if he were to have relations with the deaf mute adult, notain la get v'hutra. He can give her a get, and then she'll be released. I amart b'shlema chareshet knuya v'mishuyeret. If you're going to say that it was the deaf mute adult woman who was partially married, Ketana knuya ve'ena knuya, then it's the minor who is either married or not married. Mishum hachi, because of that reasoning, the chiba al hachareshet, when he has relations yibum with the deaf mute adult woman, notain la get v'hutra, then to release the zika and the relationship, he marries her, then gives her a get, and she's released. Then she can marry somebody else. The amart mimanavshach, because you can say either way. Iktana knuyahi, if the minor is the one that is married, right? Then then this minor, right, one, nafka mishum achvat isha, then she goes out because of it being the sister of the wife. Ilav knuya, and if she's not truly married, shapir miabem, then all the better that he can go ahead and do yibum with her. Ella rather says, right, what happens? I amart chareshet knuya ve'ena knuya. But I'm going to say rather, if we're going to say that it's the deaf mute adult woman who is either married or not married, ktana knuya umeshuyeret, then we have to assume that the flip side is that it's the minor who is partially married. Kiba al chareshet, when he has relations with the deaf mute woman, amai notain get v'hutra, then why is it possible for him to give her a get and release her?
Why does he have to?
Okay? Right, what happens? Haviale be a psula. That would be an inappropriate relations. Ubia psula lo patara.
Doesn't break.
And the bia psula and inappropriate relations does not result in the breaking the zika. Okay? The relationship, the family relationship. Okay? Remember, when a woman marries according to this perspective, she doesn't just marry the husband, she marries into the family. Okay? And therefore, by marrying into the family, if her husband dies without children, one of the brothers has the obligation to fulfill the mitzvah in the Torah to marry her, okay, or do the shoe ceremony. Okay? All right. So what happens?
What did Shoeless Joe Jackson do?
He played for the Milwaukee Braves. What can I tell you? Okay.
I still don't understand why does one Torah obligation break the other one? If she's married according
So that is the unique aspect of the mitzvah of Yibum.
all right.
Okay? You're basically asking the bottom line question. How can one mitzvah break the prohibition of erva? That's your basic question.
It's a one-time thing.
Okay? Because you do it ideally for the sake of the mitzvah. Okay, and that's the point.
According to one shita, if your machshava is not l'shem mitzvah, then it's a psula.
Psula,
It doesn't even affect
and it,
the
right, and it,
yibum.
right,
That's why
that's
we
the
do
point.
chalitza instead.
That's why chalitza. Okay, all right. So your question is always good because it's the underlying motif behind the entire Masechet. Okay, all right, let's go on. Ha'mani, according to whom do we say that a bia psula does not clear the road, so to speak? Right? Doesn't conclude the zika. Ha'mani, according to whom? Rabbi Nechemia. It's according to Rabbi Nechemia. Da'amar bia psula poteret mechalitza, who claims that even an inappropriate inappropriate relations, right, does apply from chalitza. Rabbi Nechemia, and if we hold by Rabbi Nechemia's view, Ema Sefer, I would say, but look at the end of our statement. Mi shahaya nasui shtei yatamot. What about the situation, a braita, where it says that one who is married to two orphans, okay, Ketana v'chareshet, one being a minor, one perhaps her old, right, they're not sister, one being a deaf adult, umate, and he dies. Okay, what happens? Ba Yabam, along comes the brother-in-law, right, al hakatana, to have relations with the minor. V'chazar uba al hachareshet, and then he comes back and he has relations with the deaf youth. No. Okay, maybe I want to just point out, maybe because she's a minor, he's not sure if the yibum is appropriate since she's a minor, and therefore to satisfy the yibum requirement, he has it with the adult chareshet. All right, let's give him the benefit of the doubt for the moment.
Well, or his brother gets involved.
Right.
Oh, or perhaps Shaba Achiv ala Chareshet. Okay, or it could be that one brother-in-law has relations with the minor, and a different brother-in-law who's also still a Yabam has relations with the adult deaf-mute woman. Erva means that by the Torah law, one is prohibited in that relationship. Okay? So what happens? All right, going on. Ne'esru shtehen alav, both of them, both the minor and the deaf-mute adult woman, are prohibited to him, the same guy.
The original
Guy,
right.
the original two-timer. Okay? Okay, Ketzad takanatam. So what then is their remedy? Asks the Gemara. Chareshet yotzeit baget. The deaf-mute adult woman can leave the relationship with a divorce document. Uktana, and the minor tamtin ad shetagdil v'tachlot.
Even though she had bio.
All right, she can wait till she's 12 plus and then do chalitza. Okay, now, I amart b'shleima chareshet knuya meshuyeret. That's correct. That's acceptable if you're going to say that it was the deaf, mute, adult woman who was partially married, right? Because we don't have any clear message from her. Katana, knuya ve'ena knuya. And the minor is either married or not married. V'rabananhi. And then we could say this is the view of the rabbis. Mishum hachi, because of that case, tamtin ad shetagdil v'tachlot. She can wait till she becomes 12 plus and then do chalitza. The dilma kadim ubaal chareshet beresha. Lest it be a situation where what that brother-in-law did was he went and have relations with the deaf mute adult woman first, right? Vahavya le bia de katana bia pasula, which would then result in that relations with the minor would be considered inappropriate relations or inadequate relations to break the zika. Okay? Ella rather, I amart, if you're going to say, Rabbi Nehemiah's view, okay, which we just saw said that that she could do, right? That bia psula still exempts her, still works, right? Right? So ha-amar bia psula patara, who said, notice the Gemara has to even quote again Rabbi Nehemiah's view that a inappropriate relation, okay, still nevertheless exempts her from the Zika, right? Ela shmamina rabbananhi shmamina. But rather we have to learn that our text is according to the rabbis. Indeed, that's how we learn it. Okay, so that comes to tell us that Rav Chista's explanation of Rav's statement about one, the Chareshet needing the get, and the minor, okay, waiting to do Chalitza, has to be a correct interpretation. Okay? All right, everybody with me? Good. Okay, let's go on now. Rav Ashi is going to give another hesper. All right? Another explanation. Hesper. Another explanation.
Another husband for the dead husband.
No. Mei Resha, initially, says Rav Ashi, Nami Shmami Nada Rabbanan. From the outset of the text, says Rav Ashi.
Right, from the first part of the.
Right, from the outset, from the beginning of the text of our Mishnah, we can learn that it's a rabbinic. How does Rav Ashi do that? The Katani, because our Mishnah says at the beginning, Imba al hachareshet notem la get vahutra. If he has relations in the order, the sequence of the fact that he has it with the deaf mute adult woman first, right? Right? Then afterwards, that is a valid yibum, a valid marriage, and to let her exempt and the zika whatsoever, he then gives her a get, and then she's out. Velo katani, but our Mishnah at the beginning does not teach imba ala katana notem la get vahutra. If he has relations first with the minor, he could give her a get and she would be out. Okay. Imishum ha lo irya. If it's because of her or this, then
that's the sequence. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work, right? Chareshet dalit la takanta dehetera. Were that to be the situation of relations with the minor first,
That ruins
then
it.
the deaf mute adult woman would have no remedy for the situation, for breaking the zika. Katani takanta de isura.
So the question here is,
Right?
how could they tell you that he should be boel both women? That's a law.
Right?
So in the case where it doesn't help anyway, the Mishnah puts the
What it did is
first.
it taught the
Hareshas
case
first.
right. It
first,
taught the takanta
that
de
help?
isura.
Because in that case, because of the overwhelming unfairness of this Hareshes being on her own for the rest of her life, the rabbis looked the other way and allowed the Bia Isura or the Bia Psula to occur.
Okay. But
in
you're
other words,
right, but
to
I don't
deal
like
with the
explaining it
derisa-
that way.
To avoid a derisa problem. In this
Okay,
special
all right,
case,
so
the
let's teach
rabbis
it that way.
allow a
Okay, so our
derabbanan.
Mishnah then taught a
Right.
remedy in regards to the situation,
Even though it was a rabbinic Isur.
even though there was a prohibition in the situation.
On the
Let's
rabbinic
explain
level.
it that way.
Yeah,
Okay,
which
Kat-
is a very interesting notion.
right? Katana, in regards to the minor, de'idla tekanta, where there is a more viable remedy.
Right.
Okay, that is permissible, the hetera, lo tane takanta de isura. There was no need then
For
to
a
teach a
loophole.
remedy that had to deal with a prohibition. Okay, that's what I prefer to translate. Okay, we are now done with that particular mess, that situation. Our new Mishnah. Okay, with our new Mishnah, we're going to get into some other areas. Mishaya nasui l'shtei yatamot katanot. One who was married to two minor orphans,
Unrelated, mind.
right? Okay, well, even though it doesn't say nachriot here,
But it has to.
but it has to be, right? Ummate, and he dies, right? We're assuming that he has a brother. Along comes the brother, the brother-in-law to these two minor young women who are orphans. Notice, by the way, that what the degree to which the text, the Mishnah uses the word yatamot, which could be telling us that that's exactly what I'm going to lead to. That it means that that there's no father, minimally no father, and therefore its marriage is rabbinic standard. Okay, that's the point, right? That's why I wanted to just point out the text. Ubaya bam al harishona, and comes the brother-in-law to have relations with the first one. V'chazar uba al shnia, and then he comes back and has relations with the second one. Okay, isha ba'achi o sheba achiv al shnia, or there was another brother, okay, and he had relations with the second minor, okay, orphan, right? What happens is we go on to the next Amud. Okay, says our Mishnah, just checking our time, good. Lo pasal et harishona. It does not invalidate the first one, and she remains as a wife, okay, to the first, right? V'chein shnei chareshot. And the same would apply if these two non-related minor women, two related, were not related women, and they were both deaf mutes.
So this guy doesn't like his wife.
He what?
This guy does not like his wife's complaining. So she can't hear
Right?
anything about it.
All right, come on. Okay. However, now the Mishnah continues. Let's put another little spin on the situation. Let's say that one is a katana and one is a chareshet. One is a minor and one is a deaf mute adult woman. Ba yabam al hakatana. if the brother-in-law, okay, who is fulfilling the mitzvah, okay, of Yibum, of providing for a child when the first husband dies childless in order to continue the family name, okay? And he has relations with the minor,
girl.
the little one. V'chazar u'ba'al hachareshet. And then he comes back and has relations with the deaf-mute adult woman. Osha ba'achiv al hachareshet. Or another brother has relations with the deaf-mute adult woman after he had with the minor, right? Pasal etakatana.
Nope.
This invalidates
The
right?
marriage with
the marriage with the minor. Okay. Another situation.
because it's a suffix derisa marriage.
Okay,
And
well,
it's
that's
under
because it's a
the
rabbinic.
rabbinic-
It's
the
only a
rabbanan.
rabbinic marriage, and by having relations with the one, okay, it nullifies
The child,
other.
which is purely rabbinic.
Right.
The adult could.
the
might
adult
be
one could
derisa.
be a Torah marriage, a Torah
We don't
standard
know.
marriage. Okay, Baya bam ala chareshet. Let's assume it's the opposite, that the brother-in-law comes and has relations with the deaf-mute adult woman first. V'chazar u'ba'ala katana. And then he may have come back and have relations with the minor. O sheba achiv al hakatana. Or in this case, another brother has relations with the minor. Okay? But we know that Yibum is only permitted for one wife. Okay, and with a second Yibum, both become prohibited. Right? We saw that previously in the Gemara. All right. What happens? Hapasal et hachareshet.
Yes.
This invalidates the first coupling. All right.
And the Bezdin requires
Right.
him to give her a get.
Right. Okay, that's the situation. Okay, going on now. Let's say a third possibility in the Mishnah. Pikachat v'chareshet. The fellow marries one woman who is competent and the second woman who is a deaf mute. Okay? Bayabam ala pikachat. The brother-in-law, to fulfill the mitzvah, has relations with the competent woman. V'chazar uba al hachareshet. And then he goes back and has relations with the deaf-mute adult woman. What happens? Or sheba achiv al hachareshet. Or another brother-in-law has relations with the deaf-mute woman. Lo pasal et pikachat. He does not invalidate the first relation, the first coupling, because that's a valid yibum, okay?
And
With the
second is
pikachat.
nuts.
Okay, and the second one is whatever.
Nuts.
Okay, you could call it that. You could call it, okay, be'ila psula, whatever.
No, it's not even a Bila.
Well, we'll see.
It's Thomas
Let's see.
Nuss.
Ba yabam al hachareshet, but flipping the sequence. If he has relations first with the deaf-mute adult woman, v'chazar uba ala pikachat, and then he has relations with the competent woman, o sheba achiv ala pikachat, or his brother had relations secondly with the competent woman, pasal et hachareshet. He therefore then invalidates, right, the status, the coupling with the deaf-mute woman. That's the case. Let's give another possibility, says the Mishnah. Gedola uktana. We have one who is an adult, okay, and one who is a minor.
And they're both competent.
Okay, and let's assume they're both competent because the Gemara doesn't tell us otherwise. Okay, right? However, what happens? Bayabam al hagadola. The brother-in-law comes and has relations with the adult woman. V'chazar uba ala katana. Then he comes and has relations with the minor. O sheba achiv ala katana. or his brother has relations, the other Yabam has relations with the minor, lo pasal et hagadola. It does not invalidate the Yibum with the adult woman. Okay, that marriage remains. Ba Yabam al hakatana. But if he has, and we flip it, has relations first with the minor, v'chazar uba al hagadola, and then comes and has relations with the adult woman, o shaba achiv al hagadola, or his brother has, another Yabam, has relations with the adult woman, pasal et hakatana. This invalidates the Yibum, the relationship with the minor, because it's the Torah. That is not a Torah standard relation. What happens? Here we come back to our buddy Rabbi Eliezer, all right, or Rabbi Elazar, Omer melamdin haktana shetima ein bo, where Rabbi Elazar says we teach the minor to do refusal. That's what we say. Gemara. No.
And that undoes all the issues.
Right. If she refuses, okay, I don't want to stay with this guy, okay, in either sense, or it's a refusal back on the original wedding, the original marriage.
Well, no, because she already had beer with two.
Yeah, but either way, okay, she could refuse the
Yeah, that-
original.
there was the day.
Right?
The Mion breaks the
It,
first
it
marriage.
breaks the first, it could break the first
It
marriage,
breaks everything.
breaks
Now
everything.
the Gedalia is simply
See,
a Yavama,
Rama, and
who
that's
had
it.
beer,
Right.
So she's now
Okay.
an Ashes.
Okay, so the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, Halacha Rabbi Elazar. The law is like Rabbi Elazar that we do teach her to do miyun, refusal. V'chein Amar Rabbi Elazar.
I love her.
Rabbi Elazar, he says also, Halacha Rabbi Elazar. All right, what happens? Utsricha, and we need to say this again.
Because we said it once before.
Like even though it was referred to before. Why? The itmar baha kamaita. But if we're going to say that it was an earlier case of the two brothers, right? Bahach ka'amar Shmuel halacha Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe in that situation, it was where Shmuel said the law was like Rabbi Eliezer, mishum delo kiyem mitzvat yibum, because then the mitzvah of Yibum would not be fulfilled,
Because the girl is only.
right?
with the
She's a
Gemara.
Rabbanan marriage to them because she was a minor.
And the
Right.
sorrow
Right.
is the Raisa.
Right. Aval baha, but in this case, okay, right, where we say, right, what is this case? The Baal HaKatana after the Gedola, right? The Akiyem Mitzvat, I say, where he does fulfill the Yibum, Ema Travaihu, Lifku Baget. I might say then, give both of them a bill of divorce. Ve'iyash me'inin baha. And if I had only learned about this second case, right, with the Katana and Gedola, right? Mishum de Gedola, Ramya Kame. There we say it was because the adult woman came to become the Yavama first, Aval Idach, but if it were the opposite, lo, that would not be the case. Shricha, that's why we needed to repeat the fact that we teach the minor miyun. Okay, new Mishnah. Okay. What is this new Mishnah set? Tell us. Okay. Yabam katan shaba al yabama katana. Okay, we have a brother-in-law who is a minor. In other words, he's below a certain age, right? And he has relations with a yabama who's a minor. Okay? What happens? Yigadlu zeh im zeh. Let them continue to live together like as they grow up. Okay, they grow together. All right. What?
Interesting play dates.
All right. Ba'al yabama gedola. If this minor brother-in-law has relations with an adult Yabama, adult woman. By the way, there was an Israeli movie many years ago about this kind of a situation. Okay? Tigadlenu, she should raise him.
Rears him.
Okay? Right? In other words, they remain together and she
Helps him grow up.
helps him grow up. Hayibama she'amra betoch. So a new statement now. Hayibama she'amra. If the Yavama who is waiting for something to happen, okay, and they have gotten married, but there has been no relations. And she says, within the 30 days, right, lo niv'alti, I have not had relations with him, even though we've
been
living together, right? Kofino to shiach lotzla. We force him, the base din forces him to do chalitza.
And you have to read in here, but he says they did.
Well, we'll see. Lachar shloshim yom, after 30 days, right? Mevakshin himenu sheyach lotzla. We request that he do chalitza. Okay? Ubizman shehu modeh afilu lachar shnei masar chodesh. And at the time when he acknowledges that even after 12 months, they have not had relations, kofino to sheyach lotzla. We force him to do chalitza.
So in the first few cases, he is challenging her statement. Here he's modeh.
For the Yavama, is that the woman?
That's the woman, right? Hanoderet hana'ah miyibama b'chaye ba'ala. If the woman takes a vow that she will not benefit from any aspect of life with the Yabam, with the brother-in-law, while the husband is still alive.
I can't stand your brother. I'm not going to marry him if you die.
Right, that would be one example. Okay, kofin oto shiach lotzla. The Beis Din forces him to do the shoe ceremony. La'achar mitat ba'ala, if she indicates that after the death of the husband, mivakshin himenu sheach lotzla. They request of him, excuse me, that he does chalitza. Ve'im nitkavna lecha, afilu b'chaye ba'ala, and if she implied, if she made it her intention that I would marry him over your dead body. Okay?
Yeah.
You like that, huh? All right. All right. Afilu b'chaye ba'ala, mivakshin hemenu sheyach
But
lotzla.
we can't force it.
Right? We request of him that he does chalitza. Gemara. All right, as we continue. What happens? All right. Okay, hold on a second. All right. Okay. Right, okay. Lema, shall we say, Masnitin delo Rabbi Meir, that our Mishnah cannot be edited or authored by Rabbi Meir. Why? Tanya, because Rabbi Meir citing in a Braita, Katan uktana lo cholzin velo mityabnim, that a minor, whether it's male or female, can neither do chalitza nor do yibum. Okay, divrei Rabbi Meir. That was the view of Rabbi Meir. Afilu tema Rabbi Meir. No, the Gemara says, hold on a second. Maybe we might say that it could be according to Rabbi Meir. Why? Ki amar Rabbi Meir. Because Rabbi Meir has said elsewhere, Gedola lekatan, uktana legadol, an adult to a minor, or a minor to an adult, techad minayhu bia de isurahu, where in one case,
for one of them,
it is a prohibited relation,
the
right?
grown-up is not allowed.
All right. Aval katan, but with a minor, haba al hakatana, who has relations with another minor, the travayu ki hadade ninhu, but where the both of them are more or less the same. Lo amar, Rabbi Meir did not say that it was a isur.
Because children are
Because you
not
can't be
b'nai
punished, so
mitzvah.
there's no,
Right.
there's no, you
Well,
can't be
that
punished.
No
could be.
Easter because children are not b'nai mitzvah.
All right. That would be one possible
That's the only
explanation.
answer.
Vahakatani, says the Gemara. But it's taught in our text. Ba'al hayabama gedola tegadlenu. Our Mishnah says,
Yeah.
you just said Rabbi Meir says that it's prohibited, but our Mishnah says
Permitted.
that it
Permitted.
not only is it permitted, but she has to raise him.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can you say that our Mishnah is according to Rabbi
Meir.
Meir? Okay, Amar Rabbi Chanina Chizah, says another one of the sages, Rabbi Chanina Chizah, Ba Shani, when it comes to
After the
relations,
fact.
okay,
After-
it's
after
different.
she already had beer with
All
him.
right.
then
Vaha
it's-
tegadlenu ka'amar, but it says that she raises him up. That's what it says. The kol bia ubia the isurahu, that any other further active relations is prohibited.
when they're living
Okay,
together.
when they're together. Ela mechavarta matnitin deloka Rabbi Meir, but it must be clear that our Mishnah cannot be according to Rabbi Meir. Okay, now Karekan, but we read here the following part of a pasuk, that in the Torah, part of the requirement of Yibum is lahakim laachiv shem, in order to maintain or reestablish a name for the brother.
And this time we're learning it kipshuto.
Right? Vahai lav bar hachiyu. But such a minor,
A little boy
how
is
can we say that he's capable
a
of doing
father
that?
issue.
Right? Right? The indication that Chazal had some knowledge of male physiology. Right? Okay. Amar Abai, says Abai, Amar Kra. But the Torah also tells us Yevama yavo aleh, that the brother-in-law has a requirement to
Be with her.
be with her. Kol dahu. That
Kol dahu,
means
any
anyone,
Yavama,
any
any
Yavama,
Yavama.
regardless of age.
All he needs is the physical capability of intromission.
Right? In other words, that the minor, okay, how is that possible? Rava Amar says, Rava, Belav Hachi, Nami Lomatsit Amart. Okay, without that, you
Without
wouldn't,
that pasuk, you
you wouldn't have been able to say that a
pasuk
minor
would be,
cannot do Yibum.
Even if we didn't have the pasuk saying
Right.
he should be with her, you
Still
still would
Have
not
the
a
problem.
basis to
Say
prohibit
you
the
can't
little
prove
kid.
that a minor can't do it. Mi ika mide the hashta asirale. Is it possible that we would have a situation here where there's a prohibition? Ulabatar sha'ata sharia, and later on, afterwards, it's permitted. Vaha amar Rav Yehuda amar Rav. But didn't Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav, say as follows? Kol yibama, all right, any yibama, all. She'ein ani korei b'sha'at nefila. Okay, that I call him at the time that she becomes, so to speak, eligible to him, right? Yivama yavo aleha. At that point, he should be, so long as he's able to do some sort of an act there.
If
All right.
if he's not allowed, then how can I say he should?
Right, that would be
That's what the
one way.
pasuk is- That's what the Gemara is
Right.
arguing.
In other words, if he's capable of doing the act, he should be able to fulfill the mitzvah.
And we also had earlier that if there's a second marriage, if he divorced her and then remarries her and she's now a Yavama, there was an argument that there was an intervening point where she was ushered to the Yavam. So now you can't apply Yibum. It's a similar argument to that.
don't
it's
know.
impossible to say he's not able to be with her until such
Such a
and
later
such.
time. Right. Harehi ke'eshet ach sheyesh lo bani. Then she would be considered, if he's not able to do any act, you would consider her this equivalent of a married brother's wife
Who
that did
have
have children.
and she's
Va'asura, and she would be prohibited to him. Right? Ve'ema hachinami. And I would say also the following. Amar Kras is the pasuk. Ki yeshvu achim yachdav. The pasuk also says, so long as brothers are living in life existence at the same time, even if he's just okay, shortly, afilu ben yom echad, even if he were only a day old, so long as he's living at the same time as the married brother who just was deceased without children. Okay, Ibama. Okay, so now the Gemara
Now,
comes
now
up.
you can't make that argument because he has to be 9 in a day for it to be called.
Well, we'll
Biyah.
see.
So that argument falls away.
Well, we'll see. Yavama she'amra b'toch shloshim yom. Okay, if the woman, okay, says that we've been living together, but in 30 days, no action, right? Man tana the ad flatin yomin mokim inish anafshe. Who is the Tana who teaches that a person restrains himself that period of time if he's living with her? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Meir he. It's Rabbi Meir, right? The Tanya, who taught Ta'anat Betulim Kol Shloshim Yom, who cites a pasuk that says that the inclination for a couple to be together, okay?
No,
is-
that a husband can challenge her claim
Okay,
of
right.
virginity for 30 days.
Right.
Which means it was the 30th day that he found out she wasn't. So the Mayor is saying that a man and a woman can live together platonically for as long as a month. And his Baal Plukta is saying that human nature being what it is, that
Okay.
can't happen.
All right, that one, okay, so I'll accept the fact that Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Meir, says one could challenge the virginity within a certain time period, 30 days. Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's the view of Rabbi Meir. And you're saying that he, after 30 days, he did challenge. I don't know,
Could. That's what
theoretically.
Mayor is saying.
Rabbi
He has
Yossi
the
says-
right to challenge
Right,
for as
Long
long
as
as
30
a period
days.
of- so he may not have had beer with
so
her.
Rabbi Yossi says,
It's not so.
Nistara la'alter. That if they were secluded immediately,
In other words, you're together, you're
right
together.
away. Lo nistara afla achar kama shanim. Okay, and if they weren't secluded, okay, it could be after a
Could be
number of
forever.
years. Rabba Amar says, Rabba afilu tema Rabbi Yossi. You could even say Rabbi Yossi, ad kan lo ka'amar Rabbi Yossi hatam ele ba'arusato de gisba. There, what Rabbi Yossi's comment was it with regards to a situation of betrothal, right? To challenge because he was accustomed to her. Okay? Aval eshet achiv, but in regards to the fulfilling the requirement of Yibum, sister-in-law, we'll just go over 3 words. Mivazez beziz mine.
He may
He's
be a
maybe
little
more embarrassed and therefore wouldn't be so quick to come up and
His-
argue. And we'll stop right
The
there.
situation, he makes it, he needs the aggregate.
I don't know.
Can you give me a ride home, Rabbi?
Yeah.